Hello, wonderful person. Aaron speaking, and in this video we will be talking about perimeter, and I screwed up, so I'm going to delete this video and we will no longer continue. Actually, I'll just clear and continue and edit out the beginning, which I should have been doing. Rewind. Hello, wonderful person. In today's video, we will be talking about perimeter. P-R-I-M ETER. Perimeter. And the perimeter is simply the distance around a two-dimensional figure, whether it's a triangle, rectangle, or it could be a weirdly, I don't even know what to call this, but basically any two-dimensional figure could have a perimeter, and it's simply the distance around it. So to find the perimeter, you need to first find the length of all the sides around it. So let's say we had a square, which is this middle figure, whose side was the length of 6. The perimeter, you need to know that a square, just like all rhombuses or rhombi, I still don't know what multiple rhombuses are, but just like all of them, the length of all sides are the same. So they could give you the length of one side of a square, and you are expected to know how to find the perimeter. So if we know one side of a square is 6, that means all four sides is 6. So the perimeter, or the distance around this square, would be 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6. Or you could just simply do 6 times 4. Both of these will give you the same thing, 24. Or maybe they might give you an isosceles triangle and give you the length of two sides. So this is a 2, and let's say this side is a 4. And because it's an isosceles triangle, again, you're expected to know that two sides of the isosceles triangle will be the same. So if this is 4, then this side has to be 4. And a perimeter around this would be 4 plus 4 plus 2, which is I can't do simple math, but it's 10. Let me write that down. 4 plus 4 plus 2 is equal to 10. Also, they could give you weird shapes like this, and you might be expected to find the perimeter of that. Now, first, let me draw it a little more similar to what they could actually give you, and then we'll calculate that way. So let's say they gave us this shape, and let's assume all of these lines are straight, and they gave us this was 6, this was 10, and let's say this has a length of 2. And let's say this is a length of 8. Now they could ask us to solve for the perimeter of this shape, but as you notice, there's two sides that we don't know. So what we'd have to do from here is try to, of course, figure out what the length of these two sides are. And in order to do that, we need to break it up into more, either two rectangles or a square and a rectangle. So we can either draw a straight line here, and now we have two rectangles, or we could draw a straight line going vertical and solve for it that way. So right now I'm going to break it up in this direction. And now we have two rectangles. So how do we get this side? Well, we know, let's call this side A, and let's call this side B. The length of side A plus the length of 6 have to equal the length of 8. So let me write that down. 6 plus A has to equal 8. Because if you look at it, it has to be the same side, the same length on both sides of this figure. So that's how we solve for the length of A. and we figure out that it's 2. And then now let's solve for the length of b. Well, the length of b plus 2 has to equal 10 because they're on opposite sides of this rectangle. So let me write that down. B plus 2 have to equal to 10, which gives us b must be equal to 8. Now that we have the length of all the sides, we could simplify the perimeter by adding the length of all of these sides. The perimeter of this figure is just going to be 6 plus 10 plus 8 plus 2, and those are all our given. And then plus a and b, which we just solved for, was 2 and 8. So then that would give us 10, 10, 10, 36. So this was definitely a more complicated perimeter problem because we had to solve for sides. But in general, just to keep in mind, perimeter is distance around a figure. And just like all geometry problems, they might require, most likely will require that you encompass properties from previous videos that we discussed for two-dimensional figures in order to solve for the length of all the sides. But once you have the length of all the sides, finding the perimeter is just a matter of adding all the sides up. One last thing that you need to know about perimeter is how would you find the perimeter of a circle? Notice how the circle is just one long line. Or you could look at it as infinity lines, but that's a subject for another day. So the perimeter of a circle has its own name, actually, and that's called the circumference. Circumference, and it's spelled this way. Circumference, blah, blah, blah. And the way you calculate this perimeter, there's actually an equation that should be in your formula sheet. In order to calculate the circumference of a circle, you need the radius. So let's say this had a radius of 8. The equation for circumference, which is the perimeter of a circle, is 2 pi r. So if the radius is 8, then we'll have 2 times pi times 8, which would give us 16 pi. But again, that's all you need to know about perimeter. Just keep in mind you would have to combine properties from the previous videos sometimes to calculate the perimeter, because the hardest part is getting the length of all the sides, with the exception of a circle. In that case, you need the radius. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something. Stay awesome and have a nice day.